Texas rent relief applications close after just 2 days. What this means for you today.
For the first time in U.S. history, a former president could be indicted for a crime.
And space debris lit up the California sky over the weekend, but scientists say there's nothing to worry about.
Broadcasting live from the University of North Texas, this is ntTV News at Noon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining ntTV News at Noon. I'm Armando Berry.
And I'm Sydney Jolivet. 2 students were injured in a shooting outside of Lamar High School in Arlington, Texas, earlier this morning. One student is in critical condition. The Arlington Independent School District says the shooting happened on school grounds just before 7 a.m. According to Arlington police, the suspect is in custody. So far, police have not revealed any information about the suspects or their motives. The school remains on lockdown at this time, and students are expected to be released for the day once the lockdown is lifted.
The Texas Rent Relief Portal was supposed to be open for 2 weeks. It closed after 2 days. Renters requested so much money on the second day that state agencies had to stop taking applications, a sign that may highlight a rental crisis in the Lone Star State. With the portal closing, Nick Notario takes a look on what else can be done.
At this job fair in Sunnyside, finding work means even more to some neighbors. They need money to pay for a bill that continues to climb.
It's hell. I mean, prices going up, we struggling, you know what I'm saying? You try to do the best you can do for anything, so that's what it's like.
A report released this week shows the price of rent nationwide is nearly 10% more than last year.
I remember like a 1-bedroom used to be like for $600. Now 1-bedroom you can't find it for under $900.
To help Texas renters, the state reopened its rent relief program with nearly $100 million. The application portal opened Tuesday. It was supposed to be there for 2 weeks. Instead, it was closed after just 2 days because of the number of applications.
All of this just says that renters really need help in the state of Texas right now.
Texas Housers Research Director Ben Martin says lawmakers in Austin are talking about renters. He says the pandemic brought eviction protections and rent relief programs. Many of them are gone. To help, Martin says passing a statewide 7-day eviction grace period could help. He also says using some of the $30 billion budget surplus on renters would also make a difference.
Renters are 38% of taxpayers in the state of Texas, but so far we have not seen any indication that legislators are considering relief for them.
Advocates say it's not only financial support, more affordable housing needs to be built. They say stigmas surrounding them, though, block projects. Advocates say research shows these projects don't bring crime, but hope.
If a family with an older child and a younger child moves into a higher opportunity, wealthier neighborhood, chances are that that younger child is actually going to outperform their older sibling in adulthood in terms of earnings.
Earnings these job seekers are after so they can afford rising rent rates.
Next week, we'll take a deep dive into how the national housing crisis is affecting students right here on the UNT campus, so make sure to tune in. Sydney, every time I step out my apartment, it's like I think weather's going to be one way, and then it's just completely something different. Can you relate?
I definitely can relate, but you know, putting your hand on the window, seeing if it is cold or it's warm, never fails me.
Okay, I'm gonna try that, but for now, I think I'm gonna stick with our guy. Let's check in and see what is today's first look. Peter.
Thanks, guys. I know the first look that I have for weather is just looking out the window, too. But today I saw the mowing guys out there. They were cutting the grass outside of my apartment. And one thing you should know about me is that I'm allergic to the grass itself. Usually about this time every year when the winds change, I'll get like super ill, super sick, just because of my allergies. And it turns out I'm not alone. According to a recent study by the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America, Dallas is the worst city in Texas and the second worst city in the United States for pollen allergies. The report compared cities based on their tree, grass, and weed pollen scores, their allergy medicine usage, and the availability of allergists and immunologists. And Dallas came out just behind behind Wichita, Kansas. So if you're like me and dread the season changes, don't worry, you're not alone. But the winds are not the only thing we have to worry about today. Did you notice that it got kind of cold this weekend? Well, it's not going to stay that way. So right now, if we look at our first look of the weather, you're going to see it's 54 right now, but it feels like 49, and it does feel kind of cold out there right now. And it's mostly because of this wind that we've got. It's 19 miles an hour. It's going to pick up over this week. We're still seeing the storms that are on the West Coast are still kind of catching up to us, and they're going to keep hitting the West Coast. But we'll talk more about that later. Looking at tonight for us, though, we'll see that it's going to go not down too far. It's just going to be 52. It's going to feel like 46, but really coming after the sun goes down, that's not too bad. The winds are going to pick up, though. It's going to feel like 25 mile an hour wind speed. And then tomorrow we're going to see, we're going to have clouds roll in, and then it's going to feel like 70, which is going to be good. It's going to continue to get warmer throughout the rest of the week. We'll talk more about that later. That's all I have for your first look, but back to you guys at the desk.
It's fair to assume that your car is safe from theft inside a large parking garage, but the Dallas Police Department says it may be wise to take extra precautions. ntTV Charles Ware is live with more information on the recent increase in rising vehicle thefts and some tips on how to keep your car safe. Charles?
Well, y'all, it seems like some parking garages in downtown Dallas have become hotspots for car break-ins. At the 2000 Elm Garage, there are 14 police reports filed since January 1st, 2023, 2 being for stolen vehicles. 3 other garages had even more police reports. 770 Canagirl had 16 reports, 3 of them stolen vehicles. 2320 North Houston Street had 18 reports, 4 of them stolen vehicles, and the garage with the most reports was 1110 at Farmers Market, which had 19 burglary from motor vehicle reports. All of the reports were filed after January 1st. And while there are security guards watching, they can't be on every floor at once. The new flock cameras have been installed to scan license plates and check for unregistered or stolen vehicles. The Dallas Police advise to leave valuables out of sight and keep your cars locked. That's all the info I have on the car crimes. Keep your cars safe, everybody, and back to y'all at the desk.
Thanks, Charles. Texas lawmakers are considering a bill that would ban several types of gender-affirming care for children. The state Senate is also considering whether to revoke the licenses of any doctor who provides children with gender-affirming care. Adam Bennett takes a closer look at what's going down at the state capitol and what that could mean for Texas as a whole.
The bill would block some types of transition-related care, including puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgeries for minors under 18. It would also revoke the licenses of doctors who give children that care. Finally, it would block public dollars from going to those facilities. Republican Senator Donna Campbell of New Braunfels wrote the bill.
You can still care and believe that that the child needs to have that concern addressed. But there are other ways to do it.
Some Democrats on the committee pushed back.
97.5% of kids who say, I'm not the gender I was born, they remain that way. So why are we in government trying to get in between them and their decision?
Lawmakers heard invited testimony from bill's supporters.
I was told that changing my gender would cure me. As an impressionable and mentally ill child, I fully believed this.
Bill opponents signed up in opposition have yet to speak.
Who deserves safety, who does not? Who deserves to make choices, who doesn't? And whose lives we get to save and whose we don't? I think people should be outraged.
Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick has named Senate Bill 14 one of his top priorities during this year's legislative session.
Schools across the nation are starting to add something new, but this add-on is a little different.
And if you're looking to sell your home in DFW, experts say the time to act is now. We'll tell you more when we come back.
Did you know you have access to video equipment like DVDs, video games, and cameras? That's right, you do. Come on down to Chilton Library and fulfill your media dream. Located on the bottom floor next to the student sculpture. Hope to see you there soon.
Hey girl, you know you look good. I like the way you move and groove. I'm not sure.
For the first time in history, a former president of the United States may be indicted for a crime. As the grand jury investigation into alleged crimes committed by Donald Trump draws to a close, the former president is bracing for a possible arrest. At the same time, law enforcement is preparing for the protests that will likely follow. Gloria Pazmino is in New York with the latest.
In a Truth Social post on Saturday, former President Donald Trump said he expects to be arrested on Tuesday.
I think it's not speculation. It's something that we're hearing. He needs to get ahead of it.
While there's no official word yet from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, grand jury proceedings are nearing the end, with the last-minute witness set to testify Monday at the request of Trump's legal team, according to a source familiar with the investigation.
This would be historically groundbreaking moves for a misdemeanor to try and bring it up to a charge where you're arraigning a former president.
Trump is being investigated for his role in an alleged hush money scheme involving payments made in 2016 by his then attorney Michael Cohen to adult film actress Stormy Daniels. An indictment would be a historic first and could make Trump an even more divisive figure on the campaign trail.
It does drastically change the paradigm as we go into the 24 election.
Echoing his calls for action after the 2020 election, Trump told his social media followers to, quote, protest and take our nation back.
If was this to happen, we want calmness out there.
Federal, state, and local authorities now preparing for the possibility of unrest.
We're always monitoring the situation here as best we can, and we obviously don't want to see any activity grow violent.
In New York, I'm Gloria Pasmino reporting.
Oof, disappointing that we've come to this. 2 elementary schools in Alabama now have bulletproof safe rooms that can be set up in a matter of seconds. When not in use, the system doubles as a floor-to-ceiling whiteboard that fits neatly against the wall. The room can be pulled out and assembled in just 10 seconds. The area locks from the inside and provides shelter from an active shooter and severe weather, such as a tornado. The founder and CEO of KT Security Solutions designed the shelter after the mass shooting in Uvalde, Texas. The 2 rapid deploy safe rooms in Alabama are the first in the nation. You know, spring started today, and I had to put on a jacket. That's not what I want to experience on spring.
You know, see, my problem is if the sun is out, I think I can just wear whatever. But in Denton, let alone in Texas, that's simply not the case.
It's not the case. But let's see what we can expect from the rest of the week with our weather anchor, Peter Rabel. Peter?
Thanks, Armando and Sydney. And I have to agree, it's spring. I shouldn't be worried about what my 3rd or 4th layer is going to be when I walk out of the house today. But that's exactly what I had to do today. California and the west coast of the United States is still bracing for more of that brutal weather that they've been having over the past few weeks. And that's going to hit us in Denton a few days afterwards. And I know we woke up to freezing temperatures today, which is just too low for the first day of spring, if you ask me. But it's going to warm back up this week, so let's have a look at that. Right now, we're seeing 52, 53, and 54 basically just across the map right now. 52 in the north in Gainesville and Sherman. 54 mostly everywhere here in just the Midwest of Texas, as you will. And then 55 in Graham. The wind is going to kind of pick up as the day goes, and it's going to feel a little bit colder as we go. So keep in mind that as you look at these temperatures, it doesn't exactly feel like what it is on the map. And then as we look at our larger region, you'll see that we've got 50s 50s. Again, still a 52, 53. It's 54 all the way out in El Paso. They've got some warmer weather. That's going to drop a little bit next week, but for the most part, everything's going to start warming back up. As we look into our 7-day forecast, you'll see that we've got 71 and the low of 51 tomorrow, so it's already going to be warmer than it is today. And then as we look to the rest of the week, it's just going to get pretty warm. Wednesday is going to be our high point at 81, low of 65, and then everything's going to stay around the mid to high 70s throughout the rest of the week. We have a chance of rain on Thursday and Friday. That's not going to come with a cold front for the first time in a while, but you will see on Monday the temperature is going to get a little bit lower. A little bit chance of rain is going to come back there at the end of the week. That's mostly just because of those storms that have been in the west are coming over to us, but those get a little weaker every time they hit us. But that's all I have for you for weather today. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Peter. If you're looking to sell your North Texas home, business experts say the best time to list is right now. Based on a new report, the best week to list a home in the DFW Metro will be the last week of March 26th. The report measured data from the last 5 years and found that during the final week of March, homes on the market see 36% more views, all while selling quicker and for more money.
Airport security makes lots of unusual finds every day, but at the Detroit Metropolitan Airport, security made a potentially dangerous discovery. According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection's 6 giant African snails were found alive in a suitcase owned by a traveler from Ghana. Oh, yuck. The snails are deemed a prohibited organism by U.S. officials since they can cause harm to humans and the environment if set free. Some African snails can grow up to 8 inches long and carry a parasite that may lead to meningitis. However, some people do still eat snails and others have them as pets. Oh my gosh.
I can't even. One man is riding for a cause, and we'll tell you his story today.
And what do the Cowboys, Stars, and Mavericks all have in common? Stick around to find out.
Movie.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, so we have to watch the next one before next class, right?
We do?
I think so, but it's not on Netflix and it's not on Hulu, so...
Man, I don't want to pay for that.
So what do we do?
You think there's a place we could go to get the movie?
I'm not sure, maybe?
Oh, there's a place to get the movie.
Oh?
Really?
Yeah, it's right here on campus. Come on, I'll show you.
Some would say they witnessed an impressive light show over Northern California Friday. Others could believe they were watching an end-of-times film about Earth-killing comets. The truth is, both of these theories would be incorrect. What people were truly seeing were heaping chunks of communication equipment from the International Space Station soaring across the night sky at 17,000 miles per hour. The 700-pound communications antenna was in space for 11 years until the ISS discarded it in February 2020. The debris orbited Earth for a few years before finally breaking apart and burning up. According to the astrophysicist Jonathan McDowell, about 10% of the equipment might fall to Earth in small pieces, with the rest simply melting away.
An organ donor is biking around the United States to convince others to become a living donor, just like him. Mark Scotch is a living organ donor who travels around riding his bicycle to raise awareness for organ donation. After donating his own kidney and still being alive to live an active life, Scotch says he found a new way to spend retirement. In early 2020, Scotch encountered a 64-year-old man who suffered from stage 5 renal failure. Since then, Scotch has been on what he calls the Oregon Trail and recently ended up in Fort Worth, where a transplant surgeon and the president of Baylor Scott & White All Saints Medical Center rode alongside him. Scotch says his mission is to show that you can, as a donor, still live a normal life after donation. As of right now, Scotch is biking from Lubbock to Louisiana and plans to visit other hospitals throughout North Texas.
I'll tell you, Armando, organ donation is growing in popularity day by day. Biking on a bicycle, not a motorcycle, a bicycle across country is definitely a way to gain some attention.
Truly, truly impressive, Sydney. And our very own Elizabeth Moreno has a story about how something as simple as one donation can go as far to save someone's life. Elizabeth?
Thank you guys, and thank you for joining us today. A heartwarming story without a doubt. A teen boy from Plano, Texas recently received a life-saving bone marrow transplant through the Be a Match. 16-year-old Chi Heng Chan was diagnosed with AML leukemia at age 13. Because of this, he was in and out of hospitals for years, but that all changed when he received the bone marrow donation needed for a transplant. That's right, the kindness of a stranger is what came to Chang's life-saving rescue. Children's health oncologist and UT Southwestern professor Dr. Victor Aquino formed part of Chang's care team. He states that when children relapse, there is really no other cure than the allogenic bone marrow, which can be difficult to obtain, since less than 2% of people in the U.S. donate. Because of this, both Chang and his mother, Corinne Liang, have expressed immense gratitude for the donor. Chang recently turned 17 and is still cancer-free. A Be a Match drive was held in UT Arlington last month. However, if you are interested in becoming a donor or receiving more information, you can do so by visiting the Be a Match website. That's all I have for today. I'm Elizabeth Moreno. Join us next week for Positively North Texas.
Thanks, Elizabeth. According to a top 50 list by the Sports Business Journal, Dallas was listed on top as the #1 sports city in the U.S. Aspects like the cost of living, taxes, and state regulations are what attract so many businesses in and outside the world of sports to the city. The 7-month study judged cities by the number of opportunities and how people felt about its sports economy. Dallas beat cities like New York and Los Angeles with the amount of sports organizations in its market and exceptional venues like AT&T Stadium and the Rangers' new ballpark.
As a Houstonian, I find it difficult to believe that Dallas is #1 in anything, let alone sports.
Let it go, City. Houston didn't even make the top 5.
Okay, well, since you know everything, what is going on in sports?
There's actually a lot going on in DFW, but the main thing, the UNT basketball team is keeping hoops alive for all of us in Denton. I'll tell you about where the Mean Green are going when we return.
What does Talons do?
So I am the Vice President of External Relations for Talons. That means that I basically oversee all the external committees. Our external committees entail our Model A, it's a Mean Green machine. So they bring it to football games especially, so every game it's kind of there, every home game. The Model A is like a symbol of UNT pride, and it's a big tradition that we are so lucky to uphold and maintain. When people look at it, they see it, and they're like, oh, that's the Mean Green machine. There must be a game today or something to ramp up school spirit for basketball, softball, volleyball, any of those things. We have amazing teams, so we just want to show school spirit for them. Bonfire Committee, which is in charge of putting together the bonfire every year for homecoming. It's kind of just a whole semester-long process up until Build Week that we have to put together and oversee and make sure safety regulations are followed and risk management is taken care of. Cannon Crew, which oversees and takes care of the cannon. They fire it at games, they take it to special occasions.
Can I see your voter registration, please? All right, you're good. No registration, no entry. All right. Let me see your voter registration card, please.
I'm not registered to vote.
No registration, no entry.
Dude, my friends are already in there.
No registration, no entry.
What the?
Join the club. Register to vote today.
So a man's been walking in the desert for days at a time. He finally comes across a bar and orders a Coke.
That's not funny.
Eh? Eh?
While sports fans have been able to watch March Madness unfold over the weekend, we still have a team of our own that is keeping hoops alive for UNT. The Mean Green men's basketball team is headed to Sin City for the semifinal round of the National Invitational Tournament. They advanced after defeating Sam Houston 69-53 yesterday afternoon. They will now face Oklahoma State tomorrow night. The game tips off at Orleans Arena in Las Vegas. You can stream the game live via ESPN. On to the women's side of the NCAA bracket, there are only 2 Texas teams left on the board. The 2 juggernaut programs will collide tonight when the 7th seed Baylor Lady Bears take on the 2nd seed UConn Huskies tonight at 8. These 2 teams have a historic rivalry over the years that has been marked by the tenures of legendary head coach Gino Auriemma and former Baylor head coach Kim Mulkey. UConn has the lead in the series 5-4 for now, but tonight's winner will earn themselves a ticket to the Sweet 16 in Seattle. The Texas Longhorns are the other team representing the Lone Star State and will face Louisville at 6 p.m. tonight. You can stream both of those games live on ESPN. And on the NBA hardwood, the Dallas Mavs are traveling to Memphis to play the Grizzlies tonight. The Mavs played the Grizzlies in Dallas just last Monday and lost in a close one, 112-108. The Mavs have won their last 2 games since, but tonight could be another opportunity to take advantage of the absence of Grizzlies star guard Ja Morant, who will be halting his return for conditioning after finishing an 8-game suspension for flaunting a gun on social media. Tip is set for 7 p.m. on NBA TV for that one. That's your look at sports for tonight. Back to you guys at the desk. Back to Sydney at the desk.
Armando, I guess you know a little bit about sports after that. Australian surfer Blake Johnson broke the Guinness World Record Friday for the longest surf session. Johnson stated that his efforts were in honor of his father, who took his own life 10 years ago. The record-breaking effort raised over $250,000 for youth mental health. CNN affiliate Gabriella Power has the story.
At 11 minutes past 7, Blake Johnston became a world record holder.
3, 2, 1. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's a new world record for the longest surf. Well done, Blake Johnson.
The Cronulla surf coach paddled out at 1 a.m. on Thursday morning, catching more than 570 waves in almost 40 hours. The former pro surfer's taken on an enormous physical and mental challenge to raise money for the Chumpy Pullen Foundation for youth mental health.
Oh, we're just so immensely proud of what he's done and what he's setting out to achieve. This is all about honouring the legacy of our amazing dad who took his own life 10 years ago this year. So this is a personal journey that he's been on, and again, we're just so immensely proud of what he's done and what he's doing. He's amazing.
Here at Cronulla Beach, Blake is surrounded by family, friends and locals, all cheering him on as he powers through a record-breaking surf. The former pro surfer is approaching his goal of raising $250,000 for the Chumpy Pullen Foundation. To support the world record holder, visit worldslongestsurf.com.
Yeah, I think you'd be proud. Yeah.
Gabriella Power, Sky News, Sydney.
Thanks for watching ntTV News at Noon.
Join us again tonight at 6 and tomorrow at noon here on North Texas Television.